Welcome friends to another episode of Rainford Tech. Today we will be taking up some carpentry work. One of my shelves, the soft clipping hinges are just breaking off. See, for example, this is just coming off, and then you can see the other hinge where it is broken. And it seems it's very common with this sort of hinges to go bad very fast. And to get a carpenter to do the work for this is very difficult. Materials needed. First, the hinge. We will be using a hinge that is named in the market as piano hinge. Piano hinge is a long hinge of around 6 feet in length. For current use, this may be long. However, we can use this for any future purpose as well. You can observe that one width of one side of this piano hinge will be wider than the other side. The next thing that is needed is magnetic lock, so that you can lock the cupboard. Since we are not using the soft clipping type of hinge, now the automatic closure of the shelf will not happen. So we have to use a magnetic lock, so that when we close the shelf, it will just stick in there. Next thing that we need is screws. This is 0.5 inch long and around 0.1 inch in width. The way to find it is when you buy the hinge, the same hardware store will be having this sort of screws, and most of the time only they will be having, because this is thin and half inch long, special type of screws. And get everything in stainless steel. Tools required: one hacksaw blade or an angle grinder with a cutting blade, one screwdriver to screw the screws. Let us start. First I have to unscrew all these screws and remove these parts and take this flap outside. Time to cut the hinges. The maximum length of hinge that is possible is the maximum length of this opening that is available. Actually, we can reduce the length a little bit. So in my case, it is around 22 inches. So the hinge will stay from somewhere here up to here. That should be more than enough to support the weight. Here I have marked the length of the hinge to somewhere here. When you cut, please note this thing. When the cut should be somewhere in the middle of two such sections, or it should be cut on the center of a hinge. That process will allow the remaining parts stability. The stability of the hinge that comes from this section onwards will be better if you cut the hinge somewhere in the midpoint like this. Now we will start working on the door of the shelf. The door is painted this color in the front, and this is the actual color of the door. So the hinge has to be fitted here. Now this is the edge of the door, and this is the hinge. Okay. Now the wide part of the hinge should be kept to the side, and then the hinge should be bent vertically, and you can hold it firm. So these are the places where you are going to put your screw. When you put your screw, you just put it in the first hole, leave the second hole, and put it in the third hole. So every alternate hole you can put the screw. I'll show you after I put the screw. So here we have assembled the hinges by putting in the screws in every alternating rows. Okay, so just be careful that you have a screw at the bottom level also, and on the top level also. Here you don't have to put the alternative row spacing. When you put it back to your shelf, make sure you have one screw on the top as well. So this gives the strength. It should happen here as well. The alignment of the door can be achieved by using a scale. The way you have to do is you keep the scale very close to the adjacent shelf like this, and then just take a straight line through here and draw a line somewhere there. The other way out is even before the door is removed, just draw a line. Now hold the door to the top to align to the line we had marked earlier. Okay, and now just see the hinges to be aligned to the side of the shelf like this. So when you run your finger, you can see that the alignment has happened. Once you have done that, you can go to the screw holes and start marking the screw hole using a pencil. I'll do that and come back. Fixing time. So go to the first hole here and put the screw there and make sure it is tight to the ring. Then go to the last one out here and then put that and secure it, and then verify that the shelves are aligned properly with the other shelves. See, as you can see, it's aligned properly. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the remaining screws. Here is the completed shelf. You can see all the screws are kept, but I kept the alternating rows empty, so that this screw will not, the screw head will not touch the other screw head and create a pressure out here. Now I can close it. It's well aligned. Now moving to the second part, we have to fit a magnetic lock. So that's the last part of our work. Since this is a small shelf, the position doesn't matter much. So I'm going to keep it on top so that whenever anything is picked from the shelf, it doesn't hit hard. The thing to note is you have two screw holes here, and this is the magnet lock part that will be, this is a magnet lock plate that will be fixed onto the door. So on the door somewhere here. So the thing we have to notice, when the magnet is fixed, it should actually be deep enough so that the plate will be just on the surface, and then the screw holes has to be screwed. I'll screw in and then show you. Friends, fixing of the magnetic lock is completed. Here is the plate of the magnetic lock, and here you can see the magnet with the lock. So I put two screws out here on the top and bottom and put little bit of glue in between before fixing. I put araldite, a synthetic glue, so that this will not shake in future. Now for the testing, you can hear the snap sound. It offers the resistance that it needs to when I try to open it. So the fix is complete and it's good. Now it's well aligned. You can see the shelf sitting properly. The trouble is in getting workers to fix such small things, because this hardly took 15 to 20 minutes. It's difficult for them to come for a small work. And if you call a worker for fixing such a shelf door, it takes weeks together for them to come. And that creates a lot of nuisance for me. If you like this video, please like the video. If you disliked it, you can dislike. And please remember to subscribe the video so that you can get such videos in future.